Okay, so I guess the national media has officially turned on Zion.
What do they look like, Chuck? Me and you had a baby. God.
Chuck and Shaq had a baby. I am telling you that if they build you up like they did with Zion coming out of Duke, you are going to get torn down just as hard. It happened to Tyler Hero, it happened to Andrew Wiggins, and 300-pound Zion is feeling it right now. And I think Zion is to blame for Zion being so out of shape, but someone other than Zion is actually causing this mess. And by this mess, I mean the entire Pelicans team, okay? They are just not that good. And I feel bad for Zion because he was drafted to this franchise. Look, I think that people are a victim of their surroundings to a point, but ultimately, everybody has to be accountable for their part. Like, I've got no excuse not to succeed in my life. Like, I had every advantage growing up, great parents, great neighborhood, all that. And so if I failed, that is like 100% on me, okay? But some kids grow up in a bad situation. That's why I think it's amazing for guys like LeBron James, who were born to a 16-year-old single mom, but turned out more mature than I was. I would totally get it if LeBron grew up and had like serious issues. With Zion, he is from like a stable family life, but his basketball family is a dysfunctional franchise. The Pelicans did this exact same thing to Anthony Davis. They had a bad GM and they fired good coaches, which led to AD eventually requesting a trade. For example, 3 years after they drafted AD, the Pels told Monty Williams and Dell Demps, "You make the playoffs or you get fired." Well, they made the playoffs, and they fired Monty Williams, who is an excellent coach. We've seen him now with the Phoenix Suns. And they kept Dell Demps, who was like a horrible GM. The exact wrong thing to do, okay? Monty Williams is great, and they replaced him with Alvin Gentry, who I also think is good, but he went 134 and 162 with AD. Dell Demps was the worst, okay? He extended Omer Ashik for $58 million, who washed out of the league soon after. He gave Solomon Hill $52 million and Alexia Jensa $20 million. All those bad contracts made it impossible to get out of the bad luck of Boogie Cousins tearing his Achilles. Eventually, they replaced Dell Demps with David Griffin, but he is the man responsible for the mess that Zion is in now. And let's just talk about this season. Like, forget about everything before that, and there's a lot of stuff. But why would they come out and say to the media that Zion would be ready opening day? They knew it was a lie when they said it. Dude has a Jones fracture in his foot. Those things take forever to heal. They knew that. And now every time we hear that Zion's gonna miss more time, it like sounds even worse than it would have if you just would have been honest and told us the timeline. Now it looks like, oh, Zion's off schedule with his rehab. No, this is just a normal foot fracture, but David Griffin, for some reason, lied to us. And honestly, I hope it's not what some people think, because some people think he lied like that to get season ticket holders to re-up, and then once they were locked in, they said, oh no, sorry, Zion's gonna miss like over a month. That is just straight evil if it's true. We can also talk about the horrible coaching hire of Stan Van Gundy, which never made sense, or the fact that they didn't match Lonzo's offer from the Bulls. Like, okay, I get it. If you don't believe in Lonzo, you're not going to pay him $20 million. Then trade him at the deadline. And instead of that, they got nothing back for him, and they just let him go to the Bulls. What is that? If you're going to rebuild, just rebuild. The Pelicans feel like they're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and so they get nowhere, right? Like, on one hand, they trade Drew Holiday because they're like, oh no, we need draft picks, we need to rebuild. But then they sign veterans like Steven Adams, and then they get Devontae Graham. Like, no, dude, like, get young and suck on purpose so that you can draft to get better. Instead, they're trying to win, and they suck. It is no wonder that Zion's family wants to get away from this team. But you know why I don't feel bad for Zion? Because this is also on him. Even victims of their surroundings are responsible for themselves. Like, you guys know that I struggled with addiction when I was younger, and if you didn't know that, you can check out this video that I'm linking here. You can probably watch it later, or it's over there. I don't know where it is. It's at the top somewhere. But the point is that when I was younger, I struggled with it, and you could say, like, some people believe addiction's a disease, which is great. So let's say I was a victim of that. But once I was offered help the first time, everything after that is on me. Like, even with a life crisis, like, I've got to be responsible for my part. And with Zion, he's in a dysfunctional franchise, but he needs to be responsible for his fitness. I don't believe he is a victim of bad genetics or even his broken foot. Okay, I think he just likes to eat, which is great. I like to eat, but I'm not a pro athlete whose job it is to stay in shape. And I'm sure it is tough, right? Like, if you're used to eating a certain amount of food because you exercise so much and then you get injured, you gotta cut back, which again is not easy, especially if you live in New Orleans and they've got great food. But Zion's clearly dropped the ball here, and he's probably really depressed about getting injured again this early in his career. But honestly, after Charles Barkley was done clowning on Zion, he made a really good point.
He's already hurt. You should not get hurt when you're young. And he's already had surgeries on his legs. Now he's got a broken foot. He's going to have to learn, even when you're hurt, you're going to have to control your eating. Because when people say, when guys get hurt, Adam, when they come back, you're trying to get in shape.
Right.
And if you're putting all that stress on your knees and your feet, you're just going to keep getting hurt. Somebody's got to be a grown person down in that relationship and says, yo, man, you got to get in shape.
Exactly. But the problem is the guy who is supposed to be the most powerful guy in the organization, David Griffin, is not going to be that grown person. They're not going to confront Zion. They're afraid of Zion. They're afraid of losing him, so they don't want to piss him off. They're going to walk on eggshells around him and let him do whatever he wants. I mean, if David Griffin becomes the first guy to lose a player who's offered a rookie max extension, he will go down as the worst front office person of all time. So instead, they are enabling Zion. They are lying to protect his image. They are firing coaches left and right to try to fix things on the court. All this is doing is creating more dysfunction. That's it. I would be totally supportive of Zion if he was in like perfect shape, even if he's injured, and the only problem in his life is this dysfunctional team. But instead, I think both of them are just a mess. I mean, it's just a really bad marriage from day one. Small market who was burned by just losing a star, so they're afraid, and a star with body issues. Right now, they need Zion to get healthy because the team just isn't that good. Even if they do rebound, it's going to be tough to get out of the hole they dug themselves in early in the season. This awful picture makes you go,
Things that make you go,
The Pels offense is bad. 14th in shots taken at the rim in the league. 21st at shots from three. That means they've taken a whole lot of mid-range jumpers, which is death in 2021. The only offensive threat shooting over 50% effective field goal percentage, Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas. And honestly, Jonas, that's not good for a center. Devontae Graham and Nickeil Alexander-Walker have been inconsistent, and Josh Hart's just not that offensive threat, you know? How much is really going to change when Zion gets back? I think even with a healthy Zion, this team ain't that good. And the entire idea of waiting for Zion to get healthy is to keep the record respectable until he returns, and that's not gonna happen. So yeah, the Pels are for real this bad. And if you wanna see who else I think is for real and what teams are frauds, you can join the hate comments and tell me how dumb I am by watching this video.